Transition age youth face many barriers in reaching adulthood successfully. Because of these same barriers, often young people who are struggling with behavioral health challenges or other hardships do not seek out traditional services. Tailored recognized this and has since made steps in transforming the way we serve youth and young adults in Kentucky with a variety of specialized services for transition age youth.
I was in and out of the hospital a few times. Mostly I just stayed in my room. I didn't really have very many friends.
Life before Tailored was hell, traumatic, depressing, lonely, and empty.
It got hard for me to function, and I had a hard time finding a job.
One of the most integral tailored specialized services is youth peer support. Kentucky Youth Peer Support Specialists are people between the ages of 18 and 30 who have lived experience in recovery from their own behavioral health challenges. Since youth peer support became Medicaid billable in 2014, this service has proven to show results and have a unique impact in the lives of those receiving it.
In Kentucky, we hired our first youth peer support specialists at the beginning of 2015. And the data kind of shows that young people are coming in. They're mostly coming into drop-in centers, but when they get youth peer support specialists connected, and even if they don't have a drop-in center in their community, they are meeting with that person and they seem to be a little bit more invested, what we call engaged in the services. So we see more young people between the ages of 16 and 25 getting services than they were prior to youth peer support. If you ask the young people themselves, oftentimes they say that it's because youth peer support specialists are there and they feel like they can genuinely relate to these people.
When Tailored opened, my friends that I did have started going there, and they brought me to Tailored, and it just turned into an experience where I felt like I could express myself and be myself and actually leave my house.
I think youth peer support is important in recovery because it's shown that youth during this transitional age drop out of services and then they seek services again in their adult life when they're much worse off, whether that be experiencing more trauma, their illness not being managed. If I had seek services in the transitional youth range from 16 to 25, I feel like I would have better peer relationships, better coping skills, and ultimately be a healthier person.
I think it's important at that age to have someone to relate to that genuinely cares about you and listens and wants to help you.
The job of the youth peer support specialist is to support the young person through their recovery journey, empower them to build skills and access resources, and continuously instill them with hope.
Well, in a lot of other services, you've got these people who have been through college and they're older, and that's great for certain things. But when you're at that age of 15 and 16 and you're trying to get somewhere with your life, you want someone who's been there, who has that lived experience, who's not just telling you, okay, you do this, who's gonna be like, okay, what do you wanna do? And I'm gonna help you get there.
I think youth peer support's different from other services because they understand, they care, they communicate phenomenally, and they definitely want you to reach your goal.
Youth peer support can be delivered in a variety of different ways, settings, and systems. Because youth peer support can be done in both formal and informal settings, it affords the flexibility in a young person's recovery to hold many different roles, a necessity for the evolving nature of the young person's journey.
I think it's different than other behavioral health services because it's less formal and more comfortable. It's a more comfortable setting.
Youth peer support is different than other behavioral health services in the way that it's flexible, meaning that we're equal and that we accept you for who you are and where you're at.
Nationally, youth who get peer support are happier with services. They often feel more heard, trusting, empowered, and engaged after receiving peer support services.
You step one foot in there and you spend one day with other peers, and
it's definitely worth it.
Having people like peers that I can go and I can trust and talk to, and you know, they understand. They try to understand and they're there for me. So definitely makes me happy.
Well, when someone's going through something and they feel like they've got someone who's actually been there, it can make all the difference. It can make the difference between actually going and receiving services or not receiving services, and actually being heard. And that can change someone's life.
To me, Tailored is somewhere where you can just express your feelings. You don't have to be afraid of it. You don't have to be scared. Basically, it's just somewhere where you can interact with everybody at your own age. Nobody can judge you.
Young people who received youth peer support in a variety of different settings showed improvements in substance use recovery, in court and juvenile justice involvement, in school attendance, in self-esteem, and in reaching a variety of other goals they have set for themselves.
Taylor helped change my life by reaching certain goals that I wouldn't imagine, by getting my permit, helping me staying stably housed, budgeting, being able to talk to someone when needed, just feeling supported and not lonely like I was before.
Recently, I have been employed as a youth peer support specialist at Pathways, and I'm working at the drop-in center in Ashland.
In Tailored specifically, data shows the strongest improvements in stable housing, stable employment, and attaining educational goals. Members of Tailored have reported that unlike other services they have received, the youth peer support specialists help them by always being there to listen and talk through any problem, and just by making themselves available.
It's helped me a lot. Youth peer support should be a thing. It should be kept going because people like me in therapy, they need somebody that they can actually connect to help them. And for me, that's youth peer support.
To me, peer support is something it's like your bear hug, really, to me. If you need it, it's there.
It's a good thing because it doesn't make me feel like nobody's out there to help me or doesn't want to see me become something. They make me feel good because they want to see me become something, basically. So it's a good thing. It makes me feel special, basically.
Because of the unique nature of the peer relationship, youth peer support specialists are able to build trust with the young people they serve by sharing their own lived experience with similar life circumstances. This not only builds hope, but makes young people feel valued and supported in meaningful ways that are different than other services.